mop, that's a stick. 33 shots in a Glock, that's a dick. 50 round drum, call that bitch 50 cent. 100 round drum on the Drake, it's a hit. Shit ain't no question, you play, you get hit. Pull up and let the bitch spray to that sick. Then I go pray, ask the savior for strength. I'm in creator, the savior, I'm him. Shout out the gates, we break winners like him. I told my son I'ma get us a M. I'ma keep grinding, I do it for them. No DJ Khaled, but I'm tryna win. Stand on that business, yeah, I get it in. They second line behind you and your kin. Riding that farm, you know that it's tenant. I got 100, my bro got the fish. Born in the slums, I was raised in the trenches. It be your nigga turn state as a witness.
This is the face that's horrified New York's rural Chautauqua County. A 20-year-old reputed drug dealer with 10 aliases who's allegedly spread the virus that causes AIDS indiscriminately.
Known to us by the name of Nushawn Williams. He's also known by the name of Shyteek Johnson, the street name of Face. I characterize it as despicable and criminal. This is an individual, knowing that he's infected with HIV, had multiple sex partners. Thereafter.
The fear here in Chautauqua County cannot be overstated.
It is the worst public health issue that I've ever had to deal with in my life.
Officials say that Williams learned he was HIV positive in September 1996 and left the area in January 1997. They've identified 28 women with whom he allegedly had sex during that period, the youngest age 13. Of that number, 11 have tested positive for HIV. But officials fear that number could grow geometrically because so far they've identified another 70 people whom they allege had direct or indirect impact with Williams or his partners in this county alone.
This story has begun here, okay? Has just begun here.
And where will it end?
With a much larger story.
Prison officials worried about death threats transported Nushawn Williams under heavy guard today. In court, Williams' sentencing for selling crack was postponed, pending psychological evaluation. Meanwhile, prosecutors were looking at possibly charging Williams with knowingly passing along the AIDS virus to scores of women.
We have, I think, options that would likely be considered crimes like reckless endangerment, attempted assault, and perhaps attempted murder.
But prosecutors stressed attempted murder charges requires them to prove intent on Williams' part, and that, they said, would be difficult. His sister said he knew what he was doing.
Do you think he would have sex with those girls knowing he was HIV positive?
Yeah. Because he felt he don't have nothing to live for.
Nushawn Williams grew up in a rough section of New York City called Crown Heights. Before he was 18 years old, he had an arrest record including charges of assault, robbery, auto theft, even murder, though he was acquitted on that charge. But talking to the kids who grew up with him, they remember a very different young man.
He was just a comedian.
Yeah?
Yeah. Always cracking jokes, acting silly, dancing funny.
He was just like a cool dude. He was just, I don't know, he was just suave.
Hard to believe, looking at this mugshot. But by this time, according to a childhood friend, Nushawn had become a low-level drug dealer.
I guess he was doing his thing, you know, he was surviving. That's how he looked at it. He was trying to survive.
Rodney Pryor was a lookout for Williams, who was making $300 or $400 a day selling crack. But Pryor says when he went from selling to smoking crack, Williams degenerated into a homeless addict trading crack for sex.
He was mostly messing with crackheads, probably like 30, 40.
While legislators propose stiff new sentences for the next case like this one, quietly, women who did go with Nushawn Williams are wondering what sentence they received.
Tonight at 5:30, is Nushawn Williams enough of a risk to Western New Yorkers to keep him from walking free after he serves his prison term? He was locked up after being convicted of infecting women with HIV, but you might be surprised by what his attorney is saying now. News 4's Luke Moretti joins me with that.
Yeah, Jackie, a civil confinement trial is set for the middle of next month. Now, a jury will be seated and have to decide if Nushawn Williams remains confined in state prison. But now, there's some new evidence emerging. It's a surprising revelation by attorney John Nushawn in state Supreme Court.
He doesn't have HIV. He can't pass HIV. He isn't a predator. He's been mislabeled as a predator for all these years, and it's about time that we start slowly setting the record straight.
Nushawn says in order for Nushawn Williams to prepare for the blood draw and testing, he was taken off all medications. He says the blood examination was done by the University of Massachusetts Medical School.
He gave up many years of his life because of this. He has been vilified for a decade and a half across this country.
In the late 1990s, Williams pleaded guilty to statutory rape and reckless endangerment in Chautauqua County. He was supposed to be released from prison 3 years ago, but he continues to be held under a state civil confinement law that applies to highly dangerous sex offenders. Chautauqua County Sheriff Joseph Gerasi says he's surprised by the claim that Williams is not HIV positive and says he'll wait to see what happens.
Doesn't remove the fact that he had at least one partner that was 13 years old at the time.
The HIV claim now raises the question of whether state confinement is appropriate.
So some of the women that were infected could have only been infected by Nushawn Williams, and as a consequence, I believe that what we did was right, based upon accurate medical information.
Nushawn Williams completed a 12-year prison sentence last month, but the state attorney general's office wants to keep him in custody indefinitely, calling him a threat to society. A judge ruled yesterday that Williams should stay locked up for now. The decision sparked an outburst from Williams' wife and family.
Are other people that's walking around with HIV, are they a threat? You're not questioning that? He is not a threat, and he don't need to be committed.
Williams infected at least 13 women with the virus that causes AIDS. A civil trial has now been set for November.
He's fighting for his freedom even after completing his prison sentence. Today, Nushawn Williams will appear in state Supreme Court for a preliminary hearing on whether to put the 33-year-old in a psychiatric facility.
My contact with Nushawn today indicated to me that he was no animal. He was rational, he was reasonable.
In the late 90s, Williams was sentenced to 12 years behind bars for knowingly spreading the deadly virus that causes AIDS to more than a dozen women, some of them from Jamestown.
We actually have had 2 young children born with HIV because of Nushawn Williams, and people who do that kind of behavior need to pay the penalties.
The state attorney general's office claims Williams told an inmate he would spread the virus again. And the AG's office says Williams presents multiple risk factors, including a psychopathic condition and attitudes that support sexual offending.
I don't see the state spending thousands of dollars a year to keep him in for something that he's not going to do any harm with.
According to a Buffalo News article, Williams wrote the paper apologizing for his actions, admitting he put his sexual partners at risk. I was very ignorant, young, and naive, says Williams, who went on to say he brought shame not only to his family, but the whole human race.
The so-called HIV predator fights for his release from prison. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at the law that's kept him behind bars, even though he has served his time. Good evening, everyone. The civil trial, Nushawn Williams, is now underway.
Can he prove he's not a threat to society? News 4 has been following this high-profile case for several years now. Prosecutors say Williams infected about a dozen women in the Jamestown area with HIV. He pleaded guilty to statutory rape and reckless endangerment. But now, Williams' defense attorney says his client had a blood test that shows he does not have HIV.
The state is now saying that because he possesses some type of a mental abnormality, he needs to be retained in confinement.
Nushawn Williams, now known as Shyteek Johnson, went to prison in the late 1990s. He completed a 12-year sentence for statutory rape and reckless endangerment 3 years ago.
There will be expert opinions submitted to the jury, and they'll have to sift through it and make a judgment.
The state is using a civil confinement law that was enacted in 2007 designed to keep dangerous offenders locked up. Just weeks ago, Williams' defense attorney, John Nushawn, made a stunning claim based on independent testing.
He doesn't have HIV. He can't pass HIV.
News 4 legal analyst Terry Connors believes it could play a central role in the case.
It will play a pivotal role in the case because under those circumstances, the jury will not be able to find the predicate, the foundation for the mental abnormality because he's no longer a threat.
The state attorney general's office disputes the results and the testing method that was used. Incidentally, a constitutional challenge of a similar confinement statute in Kansas made it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The primary challenge was that it did not afford the individual due process of law.
The Supreme Court said that under the circumstances of that statute, it provided adequate due process and did not overturn it as unconstitutional.
In New York State, there have been 345 court decisions regarding civil management between 2007 and 2011. Mental abnormality was found in 287 of the cases, 189 of which resulted in a dangerous sex offender finding requiring confinement.
Nushawn Williams, also known as Shyteek Johnson, went before a state judge trying to get his freedom, if only for a short time, while family, including his wife, came to show their support. The Attorney General is arguing Williams should be held indefinitely under a newly enacted civil confinement law meant to keep sexual predators off the street. The state is basing its claim on a psychiatrist's report that in addition to intentionally spreading HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, Nushawn Williams presents multiple risk factors, including a psychopathic condition and attitudes that support sexual offending.
There is probable cause to believe that the respondent is a sex offender requiring civil management.
Williams' attorney wants the case dismissed and until a state judge decides that he be allowed to walk free since he's already served out his prison sentence. But Justice John Mahalski saw it differently.
The court hereby concludes that the respondent is sufficiently dangerous to require confinement and lesser conditions of supervision will not suffice to protect the public during the pendency of these proceedings.
And ordered Williams back to the Wendy Correctional Facility, which sparked a short outburst from Nina Williams, Nushawn's wife, and other family members.
Are other people that's walking around with HIV, are they a threat? You're not questioning that. He is not a threat, and he don't need to be committed.
I'm trying to get paid in full. I'm trying to get paid in full. Yeah, I'ma do it till I'm laying in the ditch. But until then, I'm getting money like Mitch. I'm trying to get paid before I be a broke nigga. Send them shoes to kick your dough, nigga. Coming straight up out they didn't know, nigga. Chopper City cutthroat, nigga. Where I'm from is no joke, nigga. You can fuck around and get smoked, nigga. Big dog, yeah, I'm the goat, nigga. If you want it, I can get you poked, nigga. Shot caller, yeah, I'm big ballin'. Neck and wrist look like water. Shit, my pockets fatter than my bitch ass. She ripping pussy like water. She a bad bitch on that bag shit, tryna stack it up for her daughter. The bitch suck the dick and then swallow the kids up every day in that order.